Hey guys, how's your weekday going? I got me a new area, as you can see. This is a new spot. Well, I wouldn't technically. It's not a new spot, but at the same time, it kind of is. I got me a little chair. I stacked 3 bricks against this little shed right here. So it's I don't want to allude to the mystery of how I cultivated this little spot, but yeah, it's something, all right. Nah, are you messing with the vibe though? Are you messing with this angle though? Like honestly, like full honesty, bro. Full transparency. You messing with this angle? Cause I like it. I don't know. This might be like once I skedaddle out here, if I'm still cool with them, I would love to try to use this backyard again. I'm not gonna lie, cause like this shit is something different, bro. Something different about it. It has that sensation of great ideas in the house, you know? Like, you never know what somebody's really doing in their own house, in their own comfort of their own home or their backyard. They right now could be butt booty naked right now playing human bowling balls. Like, human, yeah, like where is, like where is a slip and slide, got the bowling pins right there, you know, and then he's the bowling ball, and he's lathering himself up with baby oil or like a lubricant, and he's sliding down that bit. You don't know, like a nigga right now could be deep frying a whole turkey in his house, knowing you supposed to do it outside. You just don't know. The possibilities are endless, you know. That's what I always say. Is like it's a comical thing to think about perspective, because like honestly, anybody can be doing anything in their house, and it's a wild thing. Like where like me talking about this instant, you know. But anyway, today is gonna be a cliche type of video, corny. I wouldn't say we got over that stage of saying shit corny and cringy, but yeah, this video's gonna be like, you know, basically not a question of oneself, of a sense of self, or anything, you know, psychological or physiological, or you know, you know, philosophy, you know, none of that. Well, I guess it can correlate with that, but honestly, it's not even about evolvement. It's or evolution or adapt. Adaptation, or you adapting to your surroundings. This is what I understand. I want to understand. Would you lose all emotions if you were immortal? Right. So let's plant some bases. You know, it's not like a theory or anything like how, like, you know, the comics dudes be doing. Cause you know, as you can tell, I am a dweeb. You know, or a geek. I love superheroes, and and I don't watch isekais or nothing like that. I roll with anime here and there, but I like the old ass anime type shit. Like the late, like the R&B anime when these had dripping shit. Not like the new shit fire, but it just don't be hitting. I like the animation and like how it's like drawn and shit. Like how it has like a statically type of filter over it, cause it's just old. I don't know. I'm gonna put y'all on some anime. Like once I get some money and I got a studio, all I gonna be doing is playing. I'm gonna be playing anime while making music, bro. Weird. I don't know if I want a documentary of myself. I don't know. Listen, you know you good when you got multiple documentaries. If you got more than one documentary, you know, about yourself and then what you did, you know. But if you got more than one documentary, it's not about like artistry, and you just like a flat out murderer or some shit. Yeah, then you're cut. But like, yeah, I don't want no documentary about how I be moving. But if I do get one, then that means I really made it, cause a lot of the big, like, you know, I wouldn't say tapestry type of niggas, but like a lot of you know, influential and, you know, popular people have, like, if they're gone, they're long gone, or like they're still here, they got some documentaries. But sometimes you get documentaries or, like, you know, biops, like when you pass away. That's fucked up. I want one when I'm still alive type shit. You know, and you know you made when you got imitations or you got people like cosplaying as you and shit. That's how you know you made it. But anyway, but we getting off track. Well, basically, so here's the layout for what I'm basically talking about. So here's the layout for like the concept of, would you be you know, in better words, a lack of emotion or lack of emotion if you lived long enough. You know, would you lack empathy if if you were immortal? Would all emotions, evade your body, or leave your body once you lived a certain amount of years, right? But if you look in like a fantasy area, it's not you know if you're like a vampire, or like you got a curse on you or some shit to live forever. And I'm not talking about like invincibility, or you being able to get killed and be resurrected, like full on. There's different type of like immortality. Like Sun Wukong, he got like 7 different layers and shit. How they stories, but they all steady having different adaptations of them. But like this immortality is like at a certain age, you don't age, but you can age where it's noticeable, so people would think you're normal. But at a certain point, you just stop. So I guess like at the peak of your, I guess whatever you in your mind is the peak of your state of your body and your mind, because as your physical construct, your physical attributes have faded, your wisdom tends to be uplifted in some way. That's just how the brain is, supposedly speaking. If if you truly think about it, right? As because as when you're young, you're around my age, but for some reason I have wisdom. I don't know why. I guess it's not. I wouldn't say I have wisdom, but I'm more of the fact that I experience things, and then I internalize them to see what it truly is and what it isn't, which is pretty common sense, I guess, to evaluate the situation and be people talking about pattern recognitions. I don't have that, but in my aspect, right? You're around 17. You're 18 to 14, right? You're around that age range, life expectancy. Your physical attributes are evolving, and you're not even at your peak. Some people, that's their peak. That because they just don't evolve, and they're this arrestment development, I guess. They just stay at that one moment. But right, as you're evolving mentally, I wouldn't say you're far, like you're not, like, you have no mental awareness, or self-awareness of things and beings around you. It's more of that eludes your mind because you're distracted, or you're more focused on sports, school, or whatever is going in the household. You're not really taking your time to think internally, and why are you feeling like this, or why is that. So ergo, how does that equate, or even correlates to the immortality? As I'm speaking, right, your body, right, while you're growing, is on a different level than what your mind is. Not saying you're a dumbass when you're around my age. Is just your focus is on your physical attributes, and the hierarchy of high school jocks, cheerleaders, theater, fucking rumors, and sexual curiosity, and all that. That's what's in the mind. To me, I was gonna drop out of school. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was gonna drop out. I was gonna drop out and focus on music and this, but I didn't want to be perceived as a bum or as a nobody to my family. So, what I did? I graduated early, which I could. You know what I'm saying? Got my little whatever, that bullshit, right? But what I'm saying is, I see that there's a correlation between your age and your knowledge, right? They think the older you are, the more you know, which is preposterous in some instances, because I know fucking 40-year-olds that act like a man child and think because they've been places, and they got to experience so-called things because they were sent there for some reason to just stand post and be a fucking whatever. They think they know more than somebody. Be like, oh, I got more experience than you because I've been around. It doesn't work like that, Birdie. It doesn't work like that. And if it did, shit, a dumb motherfucker that traveled the world would know, I guess, more than the person that stayed in one area. I don't, me, like, the more you know you don't know, right? But if you think you know a lot because you have traveled, then to me, that's idiocracy in some manner of speaking. So I'm thinking, if you're immortal, right, and you experience things and you have traveled, right, not on no Groundhog Day and you're just staying in one area. If you have been traveling and you have picked up cultures, different languages, different philosophies and ideologies around the world, would you be lack of emotion, or more susceptible to be, I guess, not even poised, or more jaded to some experiences? Because if you think, if you're around, if you've been living for, I guess the cutoff would be like maybe 1,000 years, right? You have seen the evolution of technology, knowledge, and experiences, right? would you be more susceptible to death, right? Would you not be susceptible, like, you experience death, right? You've seen your loved ones, maybe if you have cultivated a family or children, right? Would you be numb to the fact? And that's why I have the question of, would you have lack of emotion because you experience so much death and you become numb to it, or would you be more sensitive to death because it's happened so much? Because, the more, because we do like exposed therapy, or how you're exposed to something to be immune to it, to be numb to it. We do that for poison, diseases, and stuff. But emotionally speaking, would that be the same cause, right? So, hmm, I'm thinking because honestly, you can correlate this to how I used to live, right? Where I used to live, death was everywhere, right? And if you're in that type of life, I hate when people say hood or ghetto, because that's just it's a demeaning thing, but also it's I don't know, it gives me a weird vibe when you just diminish that and you correlate that to so-called blackness or whatever, right? So if you're around that life, you're a store runner, you're a stepper supposedly, right? And even if you haven't took no life, but you have experienced death, face value, like meters away, I have, right? Does right? But if you're exposed to that multitudes of occasions, right? Does that vacate you from feeling that emotion to the point where you like either you ignore it or you have to become numb? So that correlates to the immortality, because if you're immortal, you're experiencing that no matter if you're killing or you just off a straight age alone, just off a straight natural causes. You're experiencing that, but slowly being exposed to it, slowly. But even if it's slowly, those hundreds of years, these centuries start to look like weeks, start to look like days in a small cartridge, because everything is so slow to a person that's my age. It's slow because we haven't lived long enough. But I think once you get to around 30 or 35, touching 40, because middle age is, I guess, 35 now, because our life expectancy is like around 70, because how we eat and what exposes and GMOs and shit like that, and red 40s and all that, right? So you got to think, there's a level of not discrepancy, but there's a level of understanding that if you're immortal, right, would you lose, would you not, would you lose the power of understanding, I guess, emotions? Or would you just have lack of, like, you would still endure those? Because I think, because people get sociopaths and psychopaths confused. Sociopaths are created, right? And psychopaths are made. Well, not made, but they're born. You're just born with that shit. So would you have like a, not a psychotic, but like a sociopathic type of mindset after living so long? Because you see, so like, that's why they correlate immortality with madness, because the longer you live, I guess your conscience tends to degrade. Just how our body and our cells keep on dying off. My cells are dying as we speak, right? So would madness and emotions, right, those go hand in hand with immortality, right? So the longer you live, the more susceptible you are to, I guess, being mad or just not giving a fuck. I feel like it's a two-way street. It's either, it's like you have, I don't give a fuck mentality of straight numbness and being jaded, or you're completely mad, right? It's either you have to accept the absurdity of life, since you know you're gonna live for long, right? Or you don't give a fuck. So I feel like some immortals will be hella cool, and then some will be like, your life is nothing but a speck to me, and then they'll have a god complex. So which is warranted, because you lived the longest, so you damn near is a god in some aspect or another. You have probably been praised, or probably been morals for statues for you if you was in an area for long enough. In America, you probably get experimented, but like maybe in Taiwan, or somewhere in the mountains of Mount Fuji or something, you would be a mythological creature or a folk's tale in some villages or something. But as long as you go, I think you probably tend to be lower in status. Like, you like probably keep a low profile so you can keep your life calm as possible, right? And there's some instances where it's either you're going to be without looking weird, you would probably want to start a family, right? Or you would probably would be with people, make friends around your age. Because listen, when I said this, right, you're not able to revert to your, like, a age that is susceptible to like kids and stuff, right? Not saying it's like it would be kind of iffy. It's either, okay, so I think it's either you're gonna be like 25, right? Maybe 25 to 35 for like getting grown man strength and like be able to evaluate situations and make, you know, fast answers. Like, logical speaking, people of my status or my age will be, they're faster off the jump. Off the jump, their synapses are quick and it's snapping faster. But as you older, I think that's why you trade off your fast reaction time for wisdom, supposedly. You're intelligent, I guess. So with that, you wouldn't be able to, like, I guess, change your age to fit the crowd and then grow up with them. You'll be in a certain age. So technically speaking, it's either you probably want to pick, a place where there's people that look like your age and hang with them, or stay around people who are just being born and then growing with them, and then becoming a mentor of some sort. Because you have a longer time to be with them than the people that are around your age, because they're closer to death than, I guess, the people that are just being born. All right. So with that, maybe if you're with them, you can teach them emotion, and you can teach yourself how to stay in the world without becoming numb. Becoming numb to the fact where they're going to die one day. It's not like you can give your immortality, your immortality away, because it's so called with a blessing and a curse. And I feel like there's so many stories about that, how, like, a king was so greedy and then he wanted the Midas touch or some shit, or he wanted to be immortal so he can, uh, embellish or brandish his wealth, right? And then as he goes on, he sees, his whole dynasty fall, and and civilization grows on. He tends to see that it was a grave mistake. He didn't escape death. He didn't run away from death. There's no bear around death. He is death. The individual that is immortal is death. He does not cause it, but he is it. He guides the people. Which is crazy, bro. I could go about this for, oh snap. I can go about this for hours, but it'll probably just be a looped around about the same thing and not fully understanding if their emotions will be still intact or not. But in my, I guess, honestly, not educated opinion, but just in, like, me observing and making an inference off it, I guess, I feel like just, I guess it's how you're born and how you're raised, and then if your environment still sticks with you as you grow, or you just, like, do you keep all your memories, or they start to just become a blur as old as you get? Because I feel like if you're still in your peak mind, you'll be able to remember everything, right? Not exactly, but still remember the wars and whatever you went through and shit like that. So I think it's determined on how you go about life, right? Because you can't replay it. You still have memories, but you can't fully replay it. So I think that's what's so potent and what's so great about life. No matter how depressed I am or anything, I still be like, because you cannot replay that bit. That's why it's so